Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Unstoppable podcast series. I'm here with a friend of mine. I'm actually glad it's on the podcast here, Mr. Stan, Mr. Massive Action here. I'm going to let him. I always let my guests give their introduction because I believe that nobody can sell their stuff more than you. So, Stan, take the floor and kind of tell people who you are and a little bit of intro about you.
Thank you for having me. First of all, I want to know like exactly. Tell me what unstoppable means to you.
I'm sorry.
Tell me what unstoppable means to you.
Unstoppable. Oh, unstoppable means to me that you basically don't give up no matter what. You keep
Yeah,
going. There's going to be things in life that are going to throw roadblocks at you, but you're going to keep pursuing no matter what. If you've got nobody believing in you or everybody believing in you, and then you're going to take others along the way with you. So unstoppable to me, which is why I started it, was to help as many people as I can along the way, but also build a lifestyle and empire for my family to pass along from generation to generation. So
right.
that's what it
That
means to me.
that yeah, that's so powerful because it's very much in line with massive action,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
but you're speaking to more of a female audience, and some
Yeah.
men.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely.
and so massive action really is just it's a symbol. It's kind of like a stop sign, right? Like you see a stop sign, you already know what it means.
Yeah.
And so massive action is a symbol, and the symbol represents just some of the pain from my past and what I've learned from my past. But the value in that is just so I can give it to others,
Right.
right? And so just a quick about my family history. My dad was in the Marines. He was an MP. Uh, his brothers were all in the military, very strict, very about education.
Mhm.
His brothers went to college this is like back in the days, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
just to get into the Marines as Hispanic was very difficult, and just imagine, what he went through like mentally to overcome that, right?
Right.
My brother was, a straight A student. He played all the sports. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My sister was, daddy's little girl.
Hmm.
My dad worked at the courthouse, so we lived in a small town, population of 15,000. So he pretty much knew all the decision makers in town. Our life was pretty structured for being Hispanic.
Hmm. Right.
Um, I was 3 or 4 years old, and my dad took his life in our backyard. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so so looking back, like it changed 360.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
So
go ahead. Go ahead.
so we moved from the small town to a population of 150,000 at the time, Corpus Christi. And so I was 3 years old. I was probably like about maybe five when we moved. Uh, Environment, different environment. Uh, the whole conversation of therapy that doesn't exist back then.
Right.
So it was like, hey, we got to move on. So from middle school, I mean, from elementary to even high school, I never uh, got educated. I always had issues with drugs and just acting out, not understanding what was going on. And until I in ninth grade I had twin boys,
Hmm.
and so in ninth grade I ended up dropping out.
Right.
And I want to say what's screwed up about the school system is that I dropped out in ninth grade, not planning to go back, right? And the school counselor reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we want to enroll you back into the school."
Mm.
And I said, "Well, I'm not going to go back to school." They said, "Well, you don't need to go back. We just need to show that you're enrolled, and we're going to graduate you." And so what they did was it's politics, right, at a higher level because they knew if they had a higher dropout rate, they wouldn't get funding.
Mm.
right. But what they did was they shorted me my education. They didn't take the time to say, hey, like, what's the story of this guy? Like, why doesn't he comprehend? Like, what is his issue? What's his family? Like, what's the pain point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So ninth grade, I dropped out. Was trying to find a job. I got into the auto body industry, and so I started off as a porter. You know, basically, like, whenever you don't have an education, you always fall on a vocational trade, like just work with your hands.
Right.
And I started off, doing detailing work, and then I got into like body work. Then I got into like automotive painting, and then I wanted to get like into like custom cars and like girl riders, and so I started to go into that and like that side of it. And I pretty much just worked 24/7. I was young. Um, I just worked. I had kids, but I became almost a master. I would say a master at custom painting, and to the point where people were paying me $10,000 to paint a car. And the custom cars and that environment, uh, it comes with a lot of distractions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's fast money, so fast money comes with a lot of different. There's stuff that comes with fast money, right? And I did that for a long time. But it wasn't until I opened a small shop just to kind of do side jobs, and I got introduced to like the business side of it, like because there's a technical side and then there's actually the mental side of it.
Right.
And so whenever I came across like the business side of it, like it just kind of opened me up.
Yeah.
So um, I transitioned from doing like a lot of the technical work to try to understand the mental side of it, right? And so being that I didn't learn how to read till I was like about 23, it was very hard. So I had to like work double hard to kind of get there, right?
Right.
And so you know now we have a family of eight, a blended family. But I've gone through the whole bad credit, the taxes, the child support, the judgments, the lawsuits, like because I didn't know, it was just ignorance, right? And so massive action is really just to speak to those guys that are vocational technicians, the plumbers, the electricians, the mechanics, the carpenters, the contract laborers, the you know anybody that works with their hands, like they can only work so many hours a day, and so it takes a shift in mindset to say, hey, how can I leverage this? How can I make sure that I leave some wealth for my family? How do I build a legacy? How am I going to be remembered? So my job and my mission is just to reach people that feel like, hey, this is all I got. All I know how to do is fix cars. I share with them the knowledge they need to get into like real estate investing, how to grow their business, you know, how to market themselves. Just a mind shift as just being a man. It's challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that is one heck of an introduction. I'm telling you, I was reading a little bit of your bio before we got on, and of course, I met you guys, you and your wife, a few years back, and I've always
Yeah,
thought a lot of you. I did not know the story, your story. I knew a little bit of your story, but not your whole story.
yeah,
So thank you for sharing that, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on this podcast here is because it's so important. We love to spread positive messages about people that have went through hard times and choosing to be generational curse breakers and making something different in their life. And one thing that that I love to tell is, like you said, the people that are working with their hands, the ones that are behind the scenes making things happen. We covered the race this weekend in NASCAR, and a lot of people are going for the main drivers. And yeah, I did a little bit too, to cover that. But I was back there with the tire guys, with the guys in the pit. I want to hear their stories. I want to hear about the wives that are making sacrifices because they're working a full-time job and then going to the race on the weekends and things like that. So I think those unheard stories need to be told more often. And hence is why I've got the podcast and why you do what you do as well. Um, I want to go back to you being raised by a single mom because yes, we do on Unstoppable. We have a lot of women listeners and a lot of the
mm,
that we help are single moms. Um, and I know, you grew up without a father figure. You lost him at 3, and that is tragically devastating thing to go through as a small child. Your mother must be one strong woman to
Yeah.
hold y'all together and to carry it on after that. When you had your children at such a young age and you went into the auto field, I know you had a lot of ups and downs. You said that you had a lot of things that happen, like lawsuits and things like that. What would you tell people as far as going and keep pushing through for that? Because a lot of people have this big dream. We're
Mm.
not born being depressed. We're not born being sad. We're not born thinking we can't do it. That happens along the way, usually from life experiences and what life deals with us, right? So how
Yes.
do you keep what would you say to somebody that keeps pushing? Because there's been a lot of times in my life, and I know definitely hearing your story in your life, where you just want to throw in the towel, where it would be easy just to give up and say, you know what, this is in my generation, this is who I am, I'm not doing anything differently. What kept you going through those hard times?
I think that at the time it was just really the like money, you know.
Hmm.
It was really money, but I think what really kind of opened me up and opened my eyes was the question like, hey, like if you were to die today, like how would you be remembered, and like what would you leave your kids, you know?
Hmm.
You know, and if you stop and really think about that question, like you start to realize like you're doing a lot of just bullshit, you know, like you're like, man, you know what, I really need to kind of get serious, right? And then, you know, the next thing is like, okay, well, how do I get serious?
Hmm.
And so that falls into like self-humiliation, right? Like asking for help.
Yes. Yes.
Well, you know, it's weird because like if you meet a strong leader, someone that's successful has more respect for someone that asks for help than someone that tries to do it by themselves.
Hmm.
Like they're just more respected because they're open to learn,
Absolutely.
you know. And I think one of the biggest eye-opening moments for me was I got to the point where I was so desperate, you know, that I started to like just reach out to anybody that I felt was successful,
Hmm.
you know, and you know maybe 20 people I reached out to, maybe two people only gave me the time of day, you know, because for one, you know, I have tattoos all over. You know, back then I didn't really dress, you know, proper, you know, and I was labeled. I was labeled, but I want to add something in here that I think is very important. And I'm going to get back to how I met Mr. T. Bowman.
Yeah, for sure.
But at a young age, so look, I grew up with a single mom, right? So if a teacher or someone with, I'm not saying nothing about teachers, but someone with any kind of authority over a child, right? Even someone at the daycare, right? Someone that just watches your kid, like just temporary. Okay, if you're raised, if you're a child by a single mom, they put a label on you, and the label is, oh, he doesn't have a father, like he's not gonna be as successful, or he doesn't have that, he doesn't have that, and so you have this label. Well, at a young age, I kept hearing these bad labels. Oh, he doesn't have a father, so he's probably gonna be in debt or in jail. He's gonna be a troublemaker. He's not gonna be, you know, he has a learning disability. He doesn't comprehend, right? So those are all labels. But look, a lot of times labels are put by people who gave up,
Right.
you
Right.
know. And so when I realized that, you know what, the label they gave me wasn't really a fact. It was just based off their opinion. So it wasn't really true.
Right. That's right.
So I relabeled myself.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know,
Reinvent it. I'm going to add to something you just said right there. I don't want to let you to lose your train of
right.
thought, Sam, but anybody that's out there listening, I think this is very important. And I think a lot of people in the education profession do a wonderful, wonderful job at this. But this is why it is so important. If you are in education, if you're a youth pastor or whatever, and you see a child that doesn't have a good home life or that is struggling, speak life words. A coach, if you're a coach, speak positivity and life words over that child, because that might be the only positive thing that they hear. And that could be a game changer, like you said, to take those labels that that everybody else has put on them and shift their mindset. Thank God you figured it out, right? You figured it out. You were hearing all the negativity and you said, I'm not going to let that define me. I'm going to do a complete shift. But I think you have to get to a point in your life that if that wasn't given to you, like you said, you have to be humble and you have to be sick and tired. We've heard this 100 times, sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then that's when the life changes, because so many people think, well, if I ask for help, it doesn't mean I'm a profession in this field. Actually, it means you're a great leader in this field because you want to keep learning. So keep going. I just wanted to stop there for the listeners to understand why it's so important.
That was a very important moment in my life, and that whole transition, that mindset came from a book that it took me like about a year to read. It's called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
It's called the what?
And in that, Michael Gerber.
Okay. Yeah.
It's called The E-Myth, right?
Huh?
And it says, if you tell yourself, I am a leader, I am called upon to do the work of leadership. You know, and you tell yourself this, it's very interesting, right? Because like if you're in the educational system or if you're someone of authority, like just try saying this, say, I'm a leader, I am called to do the work of leadership. And look in the mirror, say this, and you approach the situation in a different perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's so powerful. I got to the point where I was sick and tired, and I came across E-Myth book, started to reach out to a bunch of people, and I met Mr. T. Bowman. He was an accountant, and I remember I set an appointment for his office, and I walked in like if I had this big business wanting him to do my accounting, but I said, hey, I'm here, I need some help. And he's like, well, what do you mean? And I said, this is what I want to do. Like I want to build a business. I want to build a real estate company. I kind of like had this vision, and he says, okay, like how serious are you about it? And I said, I'm ready to do it. And he says, okay. He goes, it's going to cost you $2,000, right? And I was young, and I said, okay, well, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. Okay. But when I was there, I kind of it's weird because have you ever seen like a movie where like everything, like you kind of go blank, but like in your thoughts, like everything slows down, right? That happened, and everything kind of slowed down for a minute. And I thought to myself, I said, you know what, like I can just pay him the money, and maybe he can help me, or I can just spend the money anyway on junk. I'm gonna lose the money anyway.
There you go.
So why not just give him the money and see what, And so I did that, right? And he goes, okay, well, we're gonna set a 3-hour meeting on this date, no distractions. I need your full attention. And he just pulled everything that I wanted like out. He's like, what about this? How do you want to do this? Tell me what this looks like. Tell me. And so he was just writing all this stuff down. And what he did was he wrote everything down, and then he kind of put action steps to get to that. He's like, okay, to do this, you got to do this. To do this, you got to do this. To do this, right? And so, one of the, it's funny because, how people say you got to commit to something, right? Well, or they found that commitment shouldn't be the first thing. Clarity should be the first thing, right? And so whenever, and he gave me,
and starting and just having the guts to start, right? Yeah.
Well, the clarity, it gives you a direction, right? It gives you a direction, because if not, we can just be walking in circles thinking that we're going straight.
There you
go. He gave me this information, and I just went to work on that list, right? And so what I learned from that was that money is a tool for knowledge. Okay, and so when someone gives me advice, they say, hey, you know how you have all these people saying, hey, you need to invest in crypto, and you need to invest in this. And so I always follow by, okay, well, have you done it?
Yeah.
And so if they haven't done it, then you probably shouldn't take their advice.
Absolutely.
And so always follow with that question. If someone says, hey, you need to go do this, have you done it? If they haven't done it, then they're probably just they're making up shit,
Absolutely.
uh,
Absolutely.
Mr. T Bowman introduced me to another lady. Her name was Kay Wakeman, right? And she was like a business coach, right? And think about this. This is crazy, but back then, she's like, "Hey Stan, it's gonna be like I think it was like 150 a month, right?" And I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I was like stressing out, like. But I learned so much from her. Like it was crazy. But one of the things that I've learned was that we all have strengths.
Absolutely.
We all have strengths, and we're not good in everything, right? Because growing up, you know how we're taught, you got to know how to do everything. Well, the same, you know how they say people say I'm a jack of all trades.
Right.
So that's something that was given to us, but it was misleading
Mm-hmm.
because there's another part to that.
Yeah.
Like they never gave us the other part.
Yeah. It's like, here you go. Here's half
So
of it.
it's
Here's
it,
half of it.
it's yeah. So a jack of all trades is a master of none.
That's right. I love that. Say that one more time for our listeners. That is good.
Yeah. So we grew up with people telling us around us, you need to be a jack of all trades. You need to be a
Right.
jack of all trades.
Right.
But when you talk to people that are successful, they say, hey, they tell their kids, hey, a jack of all trades is a master of none.
Right.
And I was like, hey, I never heard that side of it. They're like, well, no one that invested in themselves.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You know,
You're
and
everywhere.
so the moment that I started to realize that it changed a lot of stuff. And I mean, coaching. I mean, I work with coach and other coaches, uh, and I'm always like just getting better and better. On myself. Uh,
Self-development is so important for people.
yeah.
And
Uh,
and it's scary at first when you don't, like you said, when you first put that first money down for self-development, you're like, oh, I don't really have it right now, but I'm going to trust and do it. And then
yeah.
you learn and grow. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not even what it is. Think about it, right? So you're not. It's the most dumbest thing, right? Because you're not paying. You're paying for the knowledge, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but you're just paying to keep yourself accountable.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so that like if you know that you're invested, then you're more committed, and you're gonna absorb some of the knowledge. So it's just the way we are because if not, we get lazy. So we have to do these things to kind of, everybody that is growing has some sort of coach. You
Yes.
know, and if they don't, then they're gonna become obsolete. You
Absolutely.
know, but Kay Wakeman, so she says, hey Stan, like you know you need to decide what you're good at, like how you operate. And so I said, okay. So we did some assessments, right? And she says, you're a quick start, you're responsibility. So what that means is like if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. Okay. And she says because that's who you are, your character, and that's how you operate, you overcommit to projects. So you have all these projects because you know in your head you're going to get them done because that's who you are. You overcommit and nothing gets done on time. So now your strength became your weakness, right?
Very,
And she says,
very,
what if you were to gain clarity?
yeah.
She said, what if you were to gain clarity and only focus on the things that were in line with what's going to be the empire, the legacy? Focus on those things because I can guarantee you right now, someone can call me and says, hey Stan, I'll pay you $15,000 to paint my car, custom paint it, please. Do it. I'll bring you money cash, like just please do it for me. I'll say no because it's not in line with what I'm doing.
Right.
When
Right.
I say it's not in line, it's going to be a distraction to me.
That is so good.
You
That is
see?
so good. Yeah. because so many people get distracted chasing the next shiny object or the next thing or the next dollar that they think, oh, that's $15,000. That'll pay my bills for a couple months. But then what
Yeah.
happens? You lost your long-term goal. You're preaching is something that I have to tell myself. I tell the women that I coach, some of the men that I coach that, but I'm also having to remind myself of that too, because when you do have a servant's heart and you do want to see other people succeed and you do want to help as many people as you can, one of the things that I find myself in, Stan, is that I want to be like, yeah, sure, I'll help you with your volunteer stuff. Sure, I'll help you with your volunteer stuff. And then I'm over here like, Unstoppable's list is like this long. And right now
Yeah.
I'm cooking the popcorn and doing all the stuff to get the show going by my, because it's me, it's a team of me and a couple other volunteers, So you have to still have a servant's heart. You have to know when to say no, though, as well, too.
No,
And
you're
say,
right.
okay, I got to concentrate on where I'm trying to go, because if you get your ducks in a row lined up, you're going to be able to help 100 more people than what you would be if you're just kind of sitting here on this end.
Absolutely, you're right.
That was so good.
A,
I had to stop you on that one just to.
a quick thing you can do is whenever you come across a new client, someone is asking you to do something, say, okay, how much time, energy, and emotional energy is this going to cost me?
Yes.
Right? Because you can say, okay, you can say, okay, yeah, it's gonna be, I'll probably be there for about an hour. Okay, it might not cost you any money, but what about the emotional energy?
Yes.
You
Yes.
see, you're like, no, you know what? This hour is gonna be emotionally draining on me, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
pass.
Yeah.
So those three indicators will kind of tell you,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly. It's got to
yes
be
or no.
energy exchange.
Um,
Energy drainers. Whew, Lord.
yeah, that energy. I mean, that's very important too, to make sure that we're utilizing that mental energy to focus on what we're clear about.
Mm-hmm.
And just focusing on those things that are going to move us forward, and because we don't have very much bandwidth. Like you're only good, you know, you're only good maybe till like after lunch, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
the average person is probably only has 3 hours of to be productive before they lose willpower, and before they kind of start to kind of be messy, right? And so, this I wanted to know why. I wanted to know why was that, right? And so that got me onto to understanding my body and how my energy levels work and what I'm eating and am I hydrated? Because think about it, like I wasn't growing. I didn't grow into money. My parents weren't wealthy, so I gotta use every edge that I can.
Right.
I gotta use every little edge that I can. So if that means, like, if I'm gonna do an audio book, I'm gonna watch a YouTube video, and I'm gonna have the physical book to get that content. I gotta do that. If
Right.
that means that I gotta meal prep and then I gotta take my vitamins and I gotta exercise every day, drink a gallon of water to have that extra hour and a half of energy, because that extra hour of energy, the compound effect, it adds up,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know. And so I have to, like, because and it goes back to massive action, unstoppable, right? Whenever you see unstoppable, you're like, hey, you know what? Like, maybe I shouldn't eat this meal. Maybe I should go lighter because I need to have an extra 30 minutes today.
Yes. Very good.
Yeah. So the unstoppable it's also a symbol
Mm-hmm.
to remind you, because we go through our day and we get distracted.
Yes.
You see, we get distracted with the Starbucks, we get distracted with the McDonald's, we get distracted with like, we get distracted. And so the unstoppable, just like the massive action, is a reminder, says, hey, you know what, like someone's depending on you.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Whenever someone that I'm working with someone and they call me and says, hey, I don't feel good today. I think I woke up with a cough. And I tell them, I said, look, I said, like, you're not disappointing me. Like, you can miss all week if you want, but there's someone that's depending on you to show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's someone that's depending on you to show up to today,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that you're giving it 100%. Think about it. My mom sacrificed, she still works today, but she worked every day to say, hey, you know what, I got to make sure that he has a better life. And so now she's saying, okay, I hope what I did is getting him to a better place. So she's depending on me.
Right.
You see, like, and so massive action, just like unstoppable, someone's depending on you, so just show up every day.
That's right. I tell people I have this on my desk, as a reminder when I'm grinding out at home. I have it on my screensaver, my kids, because that's my why. That's why I go so hard and stuff. And I feel like we have to remind ourselves of that. Yeah, I used to work at State Farm a long time ago in the call center, and we used to deal with catastrophes like hurricanes and tornadoes and stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get so cold to it when you've worked 4 or 5 days straight, 10-hour days, and you're answering calls and you've got another damage report from storms. But what they would really be good at doing at State Farm, they would stop us for a minute and they would put live clips of what was happening on the news, what these families were going through, the ones that have lost life, because it takes you back into reality to remember your why,
Yeah.
to remember your cause. And it's so easy, like you said, with distractions. It's so easy to keep going. It's so easy when bills are piling up. It's so easy when stress comes or when something really bad happens. But you just got to have that laser focus to remember your why. You got to have something that's going to bring you back to why you started what you've done, and
Exactly.
where you came from. So that is really, really good. And the food thing, people don't think that's a thing. Stan, I 100% agree with you. When I have a good workout in the mornings and I get up and I do my devotions and I just get my mind clear, and then I will make healthy choices throughout the day. My brain fog's gone. I have more energy. I have anxiety. But if I eat like crap, if I'm on the road covering an event and I'm eating pizza or McDonald's or
Yeah.
whatever, I'm stressed, brain fog, all that stuff. Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, because it puts you in a more creative state.
Yeah, it
You
does.
know, it puts you in a more creative state, and then when you're in the creative state, like that's when opportunities present themselves.
Mhm. That's
You
right.
know, that
And
that's big.
yeah, I love the fact that it sounds like those two people that you mentioned were people that really spoke into your life and that really hits you. Because one, like you said, you have to be ready. You have to be tired of your situation and ready to grow and learn and humble enough to ask for help. So when you do
Mhm.
that, and then you find the right person that's in line with your mission or giving you the reason to do it, wouldn't you say, would that probably be where your turning point would have been with your career? Is that like, I'm ready now, I have the
Uh,
tool?
I think so. Whenever she told me, "Hey, like your one of your strengths is responsibility," and
Mhm.
and that's from the book. What is it? Strength Finders.
Uh-huh.
Have you read this?
I have
Strength. So
not, but I'm sitting here like tapping notes in my phone as you're
yeah.
talking.
So the book is called Strength Finders, and when you buy the book, there's a code in the back, and then you go on the website. You take like this assessment test, and it tells you your strengths, right? So also in the book, it's almost like a dictionary for your strengths.
Mhm.
So on the strengths, it says, hey, like uh, responsibilities, say what they're gonna do, and they complete that task, right? Uh, how your strength can be a weakness is if you overcommit to task and don't complete them in time. Now your strength becomes your weakness.
Right,
How do you keep your strength and not make it your weakness? You
right,
focus on things that you're clear on moving forward to, right? So when I knew this, I had clarity. I knew what I wanted to focus on, and I just started to focus on those things. And I knew that uh, it was a target list. That's when I realized, hey, if I put this on paper, it gives me something to focus on.
hmm, yeah,
A lot of
absolutely,
times we don't even take time to write what we want to do for the week or what we need to do, what's important, what's priority. You know, we don't even write like on my to-do list, I have a workout, meal prep, eat clean, be consistent, right? It's a reminder to myself. I have to see it, and the more I see it, the more I'm less to get distracted.
can you kind of go for the listeners that are trying to figure it out? Because I know when I first started my journey, I didn't even know what somebody that was doing big things and big goals day looked like. And when somebody shared a typical day for them, I mean, not like play by play, but an average day, it kind of made me see like, wow, I need to get up an hour earlier. I need to do this. I need to do that. Can you kind of share roughly an average day for you, what you do, so people that are listening that doesn't know where to start can have some kind of gauge?
Yeah. So on Mondays, uh, I just figure out what targets I got to do for the week. And so the reason why I say targets is because like if you say, hey, I got to set a goal this week. So if you use the word goal, sometimes it creates like anxiety,
Yes.
discomfort. Just the word itself, it creates anxiety because it means you gotta complete something, right? So if you change the say to-do list, because look, you write a to-do list to go to the grocery store, like to do right or a grocery list, right? It's the
Yeah.
same thing. So if you put the to-do list or my targets, whatever kind of feels comfortable with you of what's important for the week, stuff that's gonna move you forward. For example, like this week, I just bought a bunch of properties and we rehabbed them and we have to get them rented now. And so I'm like, okay, well, get the inspection, get them sprayed, find a tenant, qualify tenant, check credit reports, right? And so all these things I know that I need to do to move me forward. You understand? Uh, and I just feel, what's
Yeah.
that?
No, I said absolutely. And do you have like a morning routine too? Do you get up? Do you work out? Do you have meditation? What do you do like your typical mornings? How do you like with me, people ask me like, well, what does your day look like? I'm like, well, I try to get up by 5:30. Now school's been out, schedules have been crazy, but I try to get by 5:30. I try to get a devotion in, a workout in, get ready, and then get the kids where they need to go. And then I'll start my day, from like 8:30 to 10:30. I'm answering emails, putting out fires, and then I'm doing my meetings throughout the day up until
Yeah.
about 3. So like a typical day for you. So you're saying your main thing is your target of your week. You know exactly what you're doing, unless some things come up here and there you can't help. But for the most part, you know what you're doing every day. But it's for mental mapping it out at the first of the week.
At the first of the week, and it's not even about getting up at, I'm a sleeper. Like I need to get my sleep in,
Yeah.
and part of that is just so that I recover,
Mhm.
because I work out during lunchtime,
Mhm.
and then my meals and everything. I gotta make sure that I'm recovering. So
Yeah.
I'm focusing on making sure that I'm recovering, making sure I'm getting rested, and then I go after my list. But it's nothing crazy. I just make sure that I stay focused on that list, because I know that you know it's like the 20/80, right?
Right.
80/20, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I try to just focus on just those 20, that 20 as much as I can.
Mhm.
I still have to put out fires, and I still have to help our technicians. But whenever I do that, so I don't look at it as a fire, right? So like, let's say for example, uh, one of our technicians, like, they messed up on a paint job, right? Okay, they're like, hey Stan, I need you to come outside. I'm not sure what happened to this color, but whatever, right?
Mhm.
So you can say, okay, it's a fire, and if it's a fire, it's gonna piss you off because it's taken away from your 20%.
Right.
Or
Right.
you can say, hey, you know what? Uh, it's time to put my teacher hat on.
Make it a learning experience. Yeah.
Yeah, so so I'm gonna make it a learning, because now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna grow this guy, and if I
Right.
grow him, it's actually now a 20%. So I went from an 80, like the 80% to now a 20%, because now I'm educating him to get better, because if he's better, he's gonna be able to produce more. He's gonna get us to where we need to go faster.
Yeah.
So that shift in mindset made me approach it with not like anger, but more as like openness.
Absolutely. That is because your energy's still intact. He's not depleted.
Yeah,
You actually feel better because you took time to teach somebody something. Yeah.
exactly. And then so I'm like, okay, what happened? Like, what do we do?
Mhm.
And so then I go into I educate them on what probing is.
Mhm.
And so whenever we have meetings, we talk about, this is a probing meeting. And what I mean by that is, like, it's gonna be like who, what, when, where, how, all trigger words in the normal, if you're normal society, right? People get triggered if you tell them, why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? You know, and so, but whenever we're in a work environment, those are so important because it gets us right to the point.
Right.
And it's not about emotion. It's not about trying to piss anybody off. It's like, hey, why did you do this?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like,
It's making
when are they gonna be, when is it gonna be ready? So it's getting to the point, and the whole point is that, like, the reason why I'm gonna ask probing questions is to save you and me time, so
yes.
we can get right to the problem and not have to worry about feelings and you know I'm coming at you or anything like that.
Right.
This is a
Absolutely. Show
probing
them.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but it's fun because whenever you put that, I'm going to educate, I'm going to teach, you get a chance to, make someone better,
Mhm.
but you also get a chance to teach your leadership skills because, you can read a leadership book, but until you're able to teach it to someone, it's when it really becomes ingrained.
Mhm. Yes.
So it's almost like you're working what you've learned,
Right.
you know. So
Oh,
so you use those times for fires as opportunities, especially like with kids, right? We get busy with work and sometimes we don't take that time that we need. But you have to remember, like we're competing.
mhm.
So we're in heavy competition right now as parents.
Right.
So the way we beat that competition is unconditional love.
Absolutely.
Like because TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, their friends at school, they can't that they won't get that unconditional love. And once they feel that unconditional love, then you have their heart, and then you have their trust.
Right.
And when they get older, they're gonna come for you for guidance.
Mhm.
You see, and so it's a compound effect, uh, but we have to remember, hey, like this is an opportunity for me to open my unconditional love. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. Because
you know,
that is so true because I think so many people fear going to their parents with stuff, especially when they get older. They need to talk to their parents for advice. Like you'd rather go them come to you. If you
yeah,
have that open door where they feel like they're not going to be yelled at and screamed at, but more than likely they're going to be understood, they're going to do that for sure.
yeah, and it's a growth as a parent, right? I mean,
Right.
I had to develop that too, and that's kind of one of the reasons why. That's a major reason why I transitioned because my boys at the time were in high school,
Mhm.
and I knew that, hey, I can't tell them what to do anymore. But if they see what I'm doing, they're gonna copy what I'm doing. So if I'm doing something bad, they're probably gonna copy that. But if I'm doing something good, then I'm doing something.
Yeah.
It was pretty interesting. My boys were, I think they were like 19 or 20, and they called me one day, right? And they said, "Hey, Dad, guess what?" And I was like, "What's up?" I have twin boys, right? He's I think they're like 20 years old, right? He's like, "We're going to 10X." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, we bought tickets." I was like, "What?" But but it goes back to when I would just give them unconditional love, and then I would start to send them like YouTube videos. Maybe I sent them 50 videos, maybe they only watched two, but one of them hit home, and
Exactly.
it changed their mindset. So it's just that consistency with those kids. Because we have 8 kids. We have 8 kids from Aaliyah's 7 to 29, and one grandbaby. We have boys, girls, and like so everything that I speak is the truth. And someone if someone calls my bullshit, like I'll be like, okay, well, let me take you there.
Let me take
you
you
know,
there.
let me,
I love it.
yeah, let me take you there.
Yeah. Let me ask you this because I know we're running short on time, but since you said 8 kids, you said this twice, and the question has popped up twice. So I know I'm meant to ask you this question. There's a lot of people out there these days that are having blended family homes. It's really rare. I mean,
Yeah,
it's great if if people have stayed together and it's great, whatever, but more than likely that 80% of people have blended family homes. You have 8 kids. I have 4 kids. My boyfriend now has one. It's like that with tons and tons of people, right? What would you say is the biggest secret in making a blended family home work, especially since you're a successful entrepreneur and your wife is nothing short but a sweetheart? I love her dearly from every time I've ever talked to her. So, what would be your secret in that in blending a family, especially a larger family?
yeah. When they were younger, I always would try to like be a father figure.
Mhm.
Like I would try to like I wanted them to love me as a father, right? But I knew that I'm not their father, right?
Right.
So it was a conversation that says, hey, you know what? Like, I know I'm not your real dad. I'm never going to be your real dad, but I still love you and want the best for you, and I'm going to guide you the best I can. And so then it comes down to just just being consistent, like being you almost have to like you almost have to turn into a real leader. Like, some people talk about being a leader, but there's people that being a leader is not like fun at all times. You know what I mean? You're the bad guy a lot. You're a lot of times you are the bad guy. Especially if you're raising a blended family. One of my good friends, he told me not to use the word like step kids or like he said us, team us.
I love that. I love that.
You know what I mean? Like this is team us. And so over the years, I've really just it's been a process, because I've had to really step up as a leader, and I've had to be by myself sometimes, because everybody was mad at the decision I made, but you have to just write it out, because my son, Elaine's from Elaine's side, right? He just got into real estate at 20 years old. You see, and the reason why he did that is because he always watched me. You see, he always watched what I did, but he never like could open up.
Right.
Until he got older, he's like, man, you know what? Like, now I see why you did this for me, and I appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like, now I didn't see it back then. Now I see why you did it. So it was just me saying, hey, you know what? Like, I have to write this out. I have to write it out, and I have to stay in a leadership position, and make the decision as a leader. But also, like, it's about like being a leader when no one's looking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, being a leader to yourself. That's where you can be a leader around your family, but like, are you a leader when no one's looking?
That is the integrity. What you do when nobody is looking. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's where, like, you have to really ask yourself, hey, like, because like, people can tell bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, definitely can.
Yeah, especially like with younger kids, like, and just learning. I mean, just so much with kids, right? Because there's a mind shift with kids as well. Like, because from the age of like maybe 10 years old, maybe 13, you can tell your kids what to do. Hey, get up, clean your room, get dressed. We're going to church. We're going to go eat. Be ready, right? There's a little man right there. What's his name?
Oh, yeah, it's Cohen. Sorry, he's been so good. I was like, he's not. Congratulate him, but he's. Yeah. I told him, I was like, stay in there and be good. Yeah, because I'm at home with him.
Tell him I said hello. Hey, buddy.
He said hi. Okay, thank you. He said he needed Germex his hands because he went to the bathroom and the Germex is in here. That's hilarious.
Hey, look at him come out in his underwear.
I know, right? Exactly. But yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, so probably like 13 or younger, you can tell them what to do still. Like, hey, do this. Why not do that? Don't worry about I tell you. I'm your mom. Just do it, right?
Yeah.
But when they become a little bit above 13, they start to form their own opinions, and they start to look at what we're doing.
That's right.
Just like the example, like, hey, I don't want you smoking. Well, why are you smoking? They start to make that distinction, like, hey, well, what you're telling me why to do, why aren't you doing? So they start to form their own opinion on things, and they start to look at things differently. So that's where the true leadership. You have to decide, hey, like, I'm gonna do this for my kids. I'm gonna work out for my kids. I'm gonna eat healthy for my kids. Right. I'm gonna every time they see me, I'm gonna have a book, and they're gonna know I'm reading. I'm getting better, because I want them to know that's what we do as a family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and it takes work. It just takes work. I'm not sure if I answered the question there.
No, you did. You really did. And because I think that is so important. A lot of people just don't talk about that, that they they get into these things, they get into marriages, they get into relationships, and they don't realize how hard it can be. And you have to be able to step up and say, I'm going to be a leader on the good days, I'm going to be a leader on the bad days. And like you said, I'm going to be a leader when nobody's watching, because that's when things
Yeah,
change as well. And I
exactly.
know we're getting short on time, but I want you to tell me how people can connect with you, and two, what does it mean? You asked me, which I love that, because that tell me when somebody asks somebody else, like, what does it mean to be unstoppable? It means that you care about other people and what they think as well. You're
Yeah.
always networking and sharing knowledge and stuff like that. But what does it mean to you? Massive action mean to you? Like, why did you come up with that name before we close out?
Yeah, so massive action is just, it's a symbol. It's a symbol and it's a reminder.
Mm-hmm.
And you can attach anything you want to massive action. And so like I have it on my phone. I have it on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and we have it around the office. My daughter has little stickers that she has,
Yeah.
and it's a reminder. It's a reminder that someone's counting on you.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that whenever you go somewhere, present yourself because there's an opportunity there. It's a reminder saying, hey, you know what? Like someone sacrificed to get you here.
Yeah.
My mom we grew up with no air conditioning, because she was trying to save money, right? She tried to sacrifice to save to save as much money as she could to make sure that we wouldn't fall back,
Right.
And so she sacrificed. So it's my responsibility to show up. It's my responsibility for my family, for my kids, for my granddaughter. Like, hey, like you got to show up, because this is you only get one life.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
and massive action it's universal, right? So like what massive action means to me, it can mean something different to you. But what the point is that it triggers you. You know what I'm saying? Just like you have trigger words, your husband can say something that's going to trigger you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so we need to make our own triggers. We need to make our own triggers.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like you said, the unstoppable. I got the sticker. Like that is, and somebody I got to call today because I'll forget if I don't have it in my phone. If it's this card to call back. But that is, I love that massive action. I love that, and that's something to you that when you see it, your kids know when they see it. So it's not only for you; it's for your whole family. It's like a
Oh
circle.
yeah, it's a reminder.
Yeah, it's a
Because
cool.
you gotta influence, because remember, we're competing.
Yeah,
We're
absolutely.
competing. So like we have to get creative.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sorry, I've got my little minion in the
No,
background.
he's good. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
So that's what massive action represents, and just sharing everything that I've learned
Mhm.
with people. You know what I mean? Just saying, hey, you know what? Like I spent my life getting to this point. I can. This is how I got here. Like take it and run with it.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I just imagine like there's so many. Like I meet so many shop owners, and their goal is to open a shop one day.
Hmm.
I just want to open a shop one day.
Right.
And I say, hey man, I can help you become a millionaire in a couple of years. Like I can give you the blueprint, because a shop is not going to be any good if you're dead, because your kids
Exactly.
not going to make any money. But what if I teach you how to buy a building, rent that building? Now you have passive income, and then you go buy that. So now the work that you're doing is just extra money, and your kids are going to be set. But bigger, let me tell you what we miss about wealth, and we can probably do a part two on this, because look, we are also taught that wealth is just about money. Okay, how much wealth do you have? How much money you have, right? But wealth is not just money. Wealth is also relationships, and wealth, because you can connect. For example, you can say, "Hey, son, when you get older, reach out to this guy Stan. He's a friend of mine. He's probably going to be, a billionaire. Tell him you know me, and he
That's
can he
right.
can make you." That's wealth.
Uh-huh.
That's wealth. Okay. Also, how you made your money? How do you create that wealth? So if you teach your kids how to create it, then they can keep going with it. Because look, it's shown that by the third generation, the wealth gets depleted because the kids don't appreciate it, because they don't know how it was created. What's
That
that?
that is really good too, because they don't understand the sacrifices that came from the generations below them, and they don't understand how to do it. We see that so much these days. The kids that are entitled, microwave society, they don't understand what hard work is anymore. So you nailed that on the head there when you said you've got to make them understand where it came from, why it's important to keep it going, and they have to understand work ethic as well. I think that's one thing as a parent, the biggest thing you can teach your child is the understanding of hard work. Put it that way.
Yeah, like my two sons, they're professional photographers for like real estate and like videos, commercials and stuff like that. But I said, hey, every Wednesday, we're gonna have a meeting in my office. So tell your wives that we're gonna have a meeting for an hour and a half, an hour, right?
Right.
And so we would just go over real estate stuff. And I said, look, this is how you find deals. This is how you make offers. This is how you write contracts. This is how you negotiate. This is how you get. This is how you. I just kind of kept going for a whole year. And this year they closed several deals,
That's
you
awesome.
know, by themselves.
That's
You know what I'm
awesome.
saying? So what I did was I exchanged that wealth because now they're not depending. Okay, what is dad gonna leave or what does he have? I'm saying, hey, like you have time to create your own wealth. I'm still here. Let's do it.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I study a lot of wealth, right? And so one thing about wealth is that a lot of wealth is done by family, like it's family wealth. And what I mean by that is like like for example, me and my son are partners. We on one of his deals. And so check this out. So I've been doing real estate for about 15 years, right? My son got into real estate. But what I did by us becoming a partner, he piggybacked off my 15 years and it got him in the door quicker.
Yeah, absolutely.
See what we did?
Mm-hmm.
So we're piggybacking now. We're piggybacking, and we're creating this machine where we're all piggybacking off our resources, and that's how if you study families, that's how they have a tight circle because they're piggybacking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is something that has to be the best feeling as a dad to see to see your kids following your footsteps like that, or to see something that you pass down, a nugget that you pass down to them by taking an hour once a week out of your day, and them taking an hour to be consistent to learn something that they can pass down to their kids one day.
Yeah,
It's a trickle effect of things. People say, what's a generational curse? Well, you can break a generational curse, and then you can put things in place that they have generational wealth. It can be just a snap of a decision of different thought process, but it took
yeah,
you. All this goes back to everything that you've told me, and I know I'm short on time, Sam, but I would love to bring you back for a part 2 to talk about the real estate side of it, because there's a
yeah,
lot of people that I'm friends with that don't even know where to start. They want to have generational wealth. They do not understand investments. They do not understand how to flip real estate, how to get into that. So that would be something that I would like to bring you back to for another segment, just in that itself. But I
yeah,
wanted to get in there with your story, because everything, if you guys, if you're listening to this podcast, you're going to see him. He talked about how you started with this, the decision of being sick and tired. You sought out self-growth, self-development. You sought out people that were going to speak life words and tell you how to do it. You humbled yourself enough to know how to ask for help. And now you have the knowledge. You have the successful business. You're passing that down to your kids. And you're also passing it down to people that have a hunger to learn as well, and
yeah.
that's what it's about. It's about learning, being successful, and then sharing your story to help bring people up along with you too.
Exactly. I learned. I just want to add this one thing, and then we can, if you need to go. But during that time, I didn't have a lot of like money, so if I would go like to free conferences or attend free things to try to get information, right?
Right.
There's a term. It's called conference commando. I don't know if you ever heard of that term.
No.
Conference commando, right?
Yeah.
A conference commando is like go to a conference with the question like be prepared.
Right.
Like don't go to a conference just waiting to see what they're gonna tell you. But if you know someone at that conference has information, go with the questions you have.
Right.
I went to a real estate conference me and my wife a long time ago. It was in Brownsville, and at the time I wanted to buy a commercial building, and so I had this list of questions, right? And during the break I would ask questions, and he says, "Does anybody have any questions?" I would ask one of my questions because I was trying to just get as much.
Right.
And so it's called the conference commando. So now whenever I go, like I make sure I meet people.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I make sure I connect. Like I connected with you, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And so that's part of me connecting. Like I want to connect.
Mm-hmm.
You see, like I was connecting.
Yeah, I think that is the key to that. Some people are like, well, you can go to a conference and you can get a little bit out of it. Actually, you can get a lot if you plan, have the questions asked. But the main thing that I take away when I go is the connection, is the
Yeah,
network. Like when I work for Coach, like I would say I've been going for a couple of years with him now and doing my own thing, but I learned so much just by working and being in an environment with big thinking people. And I've have connections, like we've got Brad Lee coming on Travis's podcast or Travis's radio show next week. And, we were just up there in Vegas with Jana with him. You, the Trumans, just all kinds of different people that I have met along the way that I'm now personally friends with. And it's an equal energy exchange, like we're sharing networks. We're talking about, things that have helped me, things that have helped, them. And it's just, if I wasn't in places like that, if I wasn't at conferences, if I wasn't in coaching sessions, I would not have connections to those people. So not only are you personally developing, but you're also building your network and your platform as well.
oh yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Well, we've got to end it. I've got to get little man lunch here. This is, guys, if you don't think you can do a podcast or a radio show in your living room, you're silly. Okay, you can do it
Yeah,
anywhere. We usually have a studio we go to film, but this is still showing up and still doing it, still saying committed to your commitments. It doesn't matter
yeah.
what life throws at you, it's showing up. And let me be the first one to show you. I mean, I've got a kid in the background coming up here wanting me to turn his game on, but we're still bringing value and content because I knew this podcast with Stan was going to be uplifting. It was going to bless you. It's blessed me. It's actually reminded me of some things, Stan, that I needed to be reminded of. So thank you for sharing. Can you please tell anybody how to get in touch with you, how to follow you before we end today?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, that's Stan Medina, or Mr. Massive Action. You can also search stanmedina.com. I have a
Awesome.
website for it. Yeah, and so I have like webinars where I go into like just the whole. I have actually a booklet that I kind of cover. So it's a millionaire mindset booklet.
Oh, I love
It's a
that. Yeah.
yeah, it has a bunch of a different
Yeah.
has a bunch of different nuggets in there and resources that I do, and it's a free PDF. And just to kind of give people an opportunity to level up. It's really what
Absolutely.
it's about.
Absolutely. So guys, check him out. Go to his website, go to his Instagram, follow him. You will not be sorry. Again, I love how he loves to help people. He loves to share his knowledge of how he got there. And again, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will have our next episode downloaded shortly. Thank you.
All right.
Let me